Don't believe in aliens, they're never going to land. Don't believe in cryptids that leave footprints in the sand. Don't believe in spirits appearing from the dead. The only demons out there are living in your head. Dream crusher, the Lord of non-belief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the breeze. For a dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means. He's lurking in the shadows and crushing on your dreams. Dream crusher, the Lord of non-belief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the breeze. For a dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means.
Hello, everybody! What's up? It's Friday night. I hope everyone is ready to have a great night, great weekend, morning, noon, night, whatever it is for you. I hope you enjoyed that new opening. That was new, brand new. What kind of new? It's like that new and improved, but not really new. It's like half new. But thanks to Fantastic Publishing for making that song that you heard. That's a song that she came up with. I have to thank Crow of Judas because he put out a call when I did an interview for him, asking people to write a theme song for me. And that was one of two that came out. You'll hear the second one during the break. What? That's right. But I hope you enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun. I actually spent most of today putting it together, looking through videos and stuff that I've done over the last year or so, or even longer than that, and put it together because I wanted to. I don't know. I was just inspired, and just seeing what I can do. But and then it's actually better because I was rocking out every time I listen to that. I'm rocking out, and Fantastic Publishing. I emailed them and said I need the words because I can understand some of them, but I can't understand all of them. And she was kind enough to send me the lyrics, so I was rocking out. It really made more sense when I knew the words. But it was so awesome, rocking out. That's got me so pumped. I love it. Anyway, how are you guys? I hope everyone's doing good. I'm running solo tonight. Donna is not with me. She is on a vacation. She's on a vacation. So she left this morning, and I am on my own. And unfortunately, my backup, Tim Vickers, he had plans already. So I'm doing this myself. Hopefully, I can keep up. And I apologize in advance if I do not keep up with any questions tonight, because I'm going to try and run everything by myself, which that's going to be a disaster. I got a few things. First, well, shit, we got to go over rules, because without rules, it's all chaos. That's actually fun sometimes. But anyway, rule number 1 is that you are welcome to ask questions. That's what this show is about. We learn stuff. We learn stuff on this show. And we question. I promote that. I mean, skepticism is about questioning. It's about asking questions and trying to get to the truth of things. So feel free to ask questions if you want, especially tonight. It's open mic night with a twist. There's a little twist coming. Rule number 2 is that I don't know everything. So please understand that when I say I don't know, I'm being honest. I just don't know. And I'll try and write it down in I got an actual copybook this time. So I can write it down. And I'm going to try and do something every week. I started a few weeks ago where I got a little thing where I'm going to say what I learned last week, and it's stuff that you like from these Q&As, from these open mic nights where you guys ask a question and I don't know, and I have no idea, and I'm going to try and look it up throughout the week. Rule number 3, we follow the Patrick Swayze rule here. Let's be nice. If you're in a chat room, you are welcome to discuss things and have conversations and discuss, debate, and disagree. That's cool. That is cool. It's part of what we do. Just do not devolve into being an asshole. You know, don't be a dick. That's really the tagline that should be on rule number 3. Don't be a dick. That's it. And if you are, I'll probably let it slide tonight because I can't keep up with everything because Donna's not here. But we'll move on. Rule number 4, if you do have a question, please do me a favor, especially tonight, put a capital Q in front of it. And so I can, if I glance over and I see it, because all the questions are over on this side of my screen, and I'll try and save them for later. And if I don't get to your question, if it seems like I skipped over it, don't hesitate to put it in there again, because I'm going to miss stuff. Rule number 5, favorite rule of all time, drink up. Oh, got some good rum tonight. Got some good rum. My friend Dana, one of the Paranormal Peaches, sent me some rum, and also let me borrow her Boo Bear. I got a Boo Bear to play with. Can't wait to do that. All right, so let's see here. We got a lot of comments. Let me say hi to some people, because there were people that were in line for the show like from the beginning. Sky Talker, Don was here. Oh, this Kenny Biddle guy's in the chat room too. Dawn's here. Fantastic Publishing. Jaya D or Julie. Yeah, Julie. Chris is in the house. We got Glenda. We got Ian. We got, who else? There's a lot of YouTubers in. Raw Side Paranormal, because they like it raw. Shauna. Hey, there's a Facebooker. That's good. Good to see. Diane's here. We got, who else? Jade Kitten's in the house. Good to see you, Jade Kitten. Looking through, making sure I get everybody. Dave Schumacher's in the mute. Or I'm reading his comment. He says great music, and I'm trying to say, there's a good guy, but I said good music instead. Hey, Dave. Good to see you, buddy. Chris, Bruce, Shauna. I just like saying that. There's a lot of people in here. That's awesome. Good to see everyone. Daniel Reed's in the house. Brandon Looney Tunes Fan 2000. That is a badass name. There's a Massey. Am I saying that right? Massey Rose. I hope I'm saying that right. Cat Mac is in the house. Wow, lots of people. I don't want to miss anyone. All right, cool. All right, what am I? There's a few things I want to get to before I think in about, what time is it? It is 8:09. So in about 20 minutes or so. So the twist tonight is Joe Vitale from Entity 7 Paranormal is going to join me because we're going to go on a recap. We're going to talk a little bit about our visit to the Bel Air house in Bel Air, Ohio. So that should be fun. That'll be a nice recap. I know he has a video coming out. I know a bunch of people, him, Dawson, that was there. There was a couple of people there. Side-Eye Guy will probably do a reaction video. So I tried to get Side-Eye Guy to come on, but he's just too busy to hang out with us today. He's got a pack or something like that. Some kind of bullshit. Anyway, so he won't be visiting us tonight. It'll just be me, Joe, and I think Dawn, his fiance. What? Congratulations. Will be joining us as well. Hey, Bruce. We are here for great times and great drinks, and Kenny is our bartender as always. Thank you, Bruce. That's right. You see, like, Fantastic Publishing, thank you for that song, because that pumped me up. I was so pumped at the beginning of this show. Woo! All right. A few things. I want to do this. I'm gonna play this because this is I made this. I played it once, but I haven't played it again since. But we're gonna figure out what I learned last week with this. I love segment stuff like that. That's so fun. Anyway, I think I might have touched on this at the last show, maybe. I think I touched on it at the beginning, but I want to bring it up again just in case I didn't. There were two questions that I had to look up. One was if James Randi, had ever met or interacted with the Warrens. And still, to the best of my knowledge, they did not interact. They never had like a meeting, or not like a meeting, but they never were in the same place at the same time and exchanged ideas, we'll say. Professional way to say it. So that was a question that I want to cover because I don't know yet. There is one person that would know, and I forgot to ask him today, my boss. My boss is like a repository of knowledge of anything related to CFI and anything going back like all the way to when Randy was really into doing everything. We would send him a whole bunch of places. The second question was about Hans Holzer, and that if he ever went to Amityville, the Amityville house. And I think my original answer was that I didn't think so. I wasn't sure, that I didn't see anything, but that was wrong. I was incorrect with that. He was there. January 15th, 1977, he was there. I checked my big ass book, Ghosts. And he does have a passage in there about it. And it was interesting. I'm glad this question actually came up because he says they went there with Ethel Myers, who is a famous trans medium, and she's pretty, at least in the pictures here. Let's see if you guys can see her. That's her there. She seems pretty old, and I mean, that's probably the wrong thing to say. Just first impression, she's very elderly. She looked like she was having trouble getting around, but she also, according to this, she allegedly didn't know where she was. Like they didn't tell her where she was going. And I find that a little hard to believe because it was national news at the time, this house. So, but the thing that really struck me was that there were photographs taken. And according to this is in the book, I'm going to quote here. When the picture is taken by the psychic photographer, who was unnamed, were developed on the spot. Some of them showed strange halos exactly where the bullets had struck. My camera jammed, even though it had been working perfectly just before and was fine again the minute we left the house on Ocean Avenue. So they put one picture here, a psychic manifestation. And that's it, dead center. That's what we're looking at. And to be honest, when I saw this, can you send me the big ghost book? I'm going to answer that question right now. No. This is like, I picked this up. I think I picked this up at a yard sale for $1. Can you believe it? And it's in great shape. So when I looked at the picture, I mean, the first thing I realized is that, and I don't know if you can see it because, it's black and white, it's printed, and then you guys are looking at it. But the first thing I noticed with that was there was a window there that had no curtains, and it's simply on the other wall. It's just shining. It's a reflection of the window on the other, on the wall, which he's claiming is like a halo around where one of the bullets is. Shit, I gotta drink more because I'm too sober to talk. And I'll show you again. I don't know if you can see it, but right there, there's supposed to be a bullet hole right there. But I don't see any halo. I don't know about you guys, but I don't see any halo. And then I started paging through the book because it's been a while since I did that. And looking at all the pictures, and the photography is, to be honest, horrible. I mean, it's horrible. There's a lot of long exposures on it. There's light painting. There's all the typical camera mistakes that I see in a lot of popular ghost photographs. Just really bad photography. And so the fact that he said that his camera jammed while he was there, that doesn't surprise me, to be honest, because he probably didn't know how to work it. And that's just my speculation. But just judging by the photos that he put up in that book that were his, like he just didn't know how to work his camera. So anyway, with that, let's see. I have one more thing I want to show you. This was something that was left here today, and it was pretty cool. It was left here at the offices. Too sober to talk. That's right. Sometimes I get too sober to talk. I gotta drink more. That's right. People didn't know how to work cameras back then. Agreed. Yeah, it's surprising how many people did not know how to work their cameras. And I understand. I mean, it can be a complicated thing. It's not just like I grew up with 110 cameras. Like that was the normal one that I had, the long skinny ones. You load the 110 cartridge in it, and that was pretty much it. I had a 35 millimeter camera. My wife and I shared one when we got engaged and got married. We had one, and then I went to digital. So yeah, 110 was so easy, so easy. But like looking back, last couple of years, I've been doing more. I've been taking classes on shooting my own film, developing my own film, and just familiarizing myself with the process and the different processes with all the different cameras that I have. So I get it. I mean, sometimes it's complicated. I get it, but I guess my beef, and I read through many of these passages, and it wasn't like any photography experts were consulted or photographers were consulted. It seems like he either did the pictures himself or took them from the people that claimed that it was a ghost and just didn't have independent analysis done, which is a shame because it should have been done. But it wasn't. So there you go. Oh, all right. So before I get to it, I got at least one question coming up. This is great. I love it. So this thing, today I came to work, did my morning thing, started doing a video, and then I went for a walk to go check my mail. And as I walked through past the front doors, I noticed there was a bag outside the door. And sometimes it happens, like UPS or something comes and they drop off stuff right outside the door. So I noticed it, went out, picked it up, and it had my name on it in care of Skeptical Inquirer. I was like, oh, okay. So I because it was a box and it was dropped off, I opened it outside because that's standard procedure. if something is just dropped off and it has my name on it, I don't bring it inside to open it because, I'm always worried that little bit of fear in me, like, did I piss off somebody that much that they sent me something special? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, moving on. Open it up. Wasn't anything special. It was actually something really awesome. I am now, I can't wait to show this. I'm a pop. Look, I'm a pop. I got a little camera and a flashlight. And I got a puppy. I got two puppies in there. So that I'm gonna say that's rummy. But I got a camera and I got a flashlight and I'm popping. It's even got my hair swooping up in the front. It's got my name. I am one of one. That's right, bitches. And it came in a nice hard case too. That's really nice. So I don't know who did this. There was no note or anything with it. So whoever did this, thank you so much. I really, truly appreciate it. This is just so cool. This is going to go up on my shelf and just, I love it. I love it. I have an action figure. That's so cool. Oh, I'm going to put it next to the Boo Buddy right there. All right. Whew. This has been a great week, honestly. I mean, I woke up the other morning to notifications saying that 2 people had wrote songs for me. I see this, I get this today. Oh my God. I've just been having so much fun and loving the love and support that I've been given. So humbling. I was so overwhelmed when I heard those songs, and I was like, oh my God, like those, woo, I'm getting all hot and sweaty. Hey JD, what's up? Hey, for those of you who haven't subscribed to Skeptical Inquirer magazine, new issue just came out. Well, actually, it should be coming out. I got the very first issue. I was here when they delivered them, and we send them out from here. But I was here, literally helped them load it off the truck, unload it from the truck, and it comes in on a pallet. And like there's a whole bunch of boxes on it, and it's wrapped in that plastic wrap, that shrink wrap kind of thing. And in the shrink wrap, they had two of these, two issues. I guess just make it easier to see what it was. And I immediately cut them out. I was like, these are mine. I got the first issues. And anybody's interested, speaking of JD, there's a nice article by JD and myself that just came out. You can read about it, get yourself a copy, or subscribe, because that would be cool. And when you subscribe, tell them I sent you. Anyway, all right. So I know we have at least one question, and we got a couple minutes before Joe pops on. We got about 9 minutes or so if he has no trouble and gets on. So let me see what this, let's see. John. Hey, John. Have you given any thought about debunking the obelisk and ghost box? For example, can broadcasting on specific frequencies show up on the devices? That's a good question. So let's see. The obelisk, depending on which one you're talking about, I haven't seen any of the newer ones, the new versions, but I do have the original. I have the one that looks like a football, the football shaped one. I have that, and it's it's got a word bank. It just spits out random words. There was no rhyme or reason to it. There was no pattern that I could find. It's just spitting out words. And because it doesn't have a display, it is open to interpretation. So we always have to keep that in mind. But as far as I'm concerned, the obelisk is, I know some of them still have word banks. I know some pull from several word banks, and I also have seen some that, and I don't know if this is all the obelisk or just the copycats. I think there are some that pull from the internet, some pull from AM, FM, internet radio, and then also some of them still turn the microphone on, whether you give permission or not. And this was something, and I don't know if there's some issue going on, but I know one of the YouTubers, Parple, had done a video, and he had looked into the code of one of these apps. I believe it was GhostTube, and saw that even though you denied permission for the microphone, it still turned the microphone on. And I believe, this is speculation on my part, I believe it was also GPS was also turned on, so it knew where you were and it would listen. And I've had several groups, ghost hunting groups, contact me and say that they've tried it with some of these apps, which are like obelisk apps and ghost box apps. And even though they told it not to, or didn't give it permission for the microphone, it wasn't go through. Oh, all right. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. It was the Necrophonic app. Thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, some of them just keep the microphone on. And again, other groups have done this where they've said specific words and had them repeat it. And they've done specific pronunciations or inflections of that word and had that repeated. So they were testing it to see, like, oh, is it actually listening to me, recording me, and spitting it back out? And it did appear so. The problem is, like, I'm not willing to spend like the $10 or so for these apps to do it. And it's just, I have a backlog of projects that I have to work on, so it's going to be a while before I can get back to that. Let's see. You can turn the microphone off on the phone. You can? That's interesting. I didn't know I could. I wonder if that's a setting. That would be interesting to test, to see if you can turn it off and then turn it back on, or see if it will turn back on, maybe by default by the app. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud now. I mean, that's interesting. I wonder if that might happen in the phone setting. He said in the phone settings. All right. So yeah, that would be a precaution. I would definitely say that's a good control, to use some of these apps, go in and manually turn the microphone off completely. And that cuts it off from the beginning. That would be good. That's it. Thank you, Wisdom. That was, you are wise, Wisdom. I've been wanting to say that since the first time I saw your name. All right, let's see. I know there's a couple of, let's see, this one. Have you done that one? Let me see. Have you investigated the Omen House or on Cielo Drive in LA? I have not. Let's see. Investigation. I want to put this down because there are opportunities for me to go out to LA because we do have a branch office there. We have CFI West. That's our branch office out in LA. That's where we do the testing for the CFI IG paranormal challenge testing, the $500,000 one. Let's see, Omar House. I'm going to write this down in my notebook, and I'm going to ask Jim Underdown. Jim Underdown is our director out there, and he would know better than I would if anyone out there has investigated or looked into it, and I'll get his opinion on it if he has one, or just give him a heads up and say, hey, like, go check this place out. People want to know. The people want to know. Go check it out. All right. I'm just checking, making sure I don't miss any questions. Let's see. It was built only a few years ago. It's 3 or 4 houses down from the Tate murder house. Oh, okay. The owner claims that Sharon Tate haunts the house. Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. So let's see. I got one more question here. And then hopefully, what time is it? It's almost 8:30. So I think Joe will be popping on soon. And we can talk about the Bel Air house and see what kind of questions you guys got for that. Bruce says, always wondered what you thought about the Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts. That's Bruce. Bruce, are you psychic, Bruce? Because I was just talking about that with Melanie Treesick King, or I like to call her now Melanie Trees and Sick, because it's a funny nickname. I found out that she had in high school, so now I'm going to make fun of her name, but in a good way. Anyway, so she brought it up to me because she lives not far from there, and she had brought it up a couple times, asking if I ever went there or if I ever would like to go there, because she wants to go investigate that place, because apparently her students tell her about it all the time, that there's all kinds of things that happen in there. And it sounds interesting, but it also looks like big. I think it's like something like 200 square miles or something in total. That's a lot. Because she brought it up on the map and we're looking at it and I'm like, that's a lot of space. That's a lot of space. Can you narrow it down? Can you get like some of the stories and figure out exactly where it is, so we can go to, like, within a few blocks, not square miles, because that's a lot, and that would be a lot of waste of time going around trying to find out what's going on, and that would take some digging too. That would take some digging to find out exactly where everything is, find if there's testable claims, and so on. So let's see. All right, so we got our guests. I want to bring them on. We're going to chat. Let's see. What am I doing here? Let me make sure. Usually Donna does all this. Damn it. All right, I'm going to bring on Joe and Dawn. What?
Hello.
Hello. How are you guys?
We're separate.
We're separate. What the hell? You already having a lover spat?
No. We don't live together. We're like 4.5 hours away from one another.
You're
Yet.
not living in sin?
No. We're good Christian people, Kenny. Come on now.
Yeah, we hung out for a night. I know that's not true. All right. So you guys are here. Everyone's saying hi. It's really cool. So we went to the Bel Air house last week. Was it last week? My God, my days are so messed up.
Yeah.
I went. The eclipse was Monday, and here at CFI we had a huge event. We had a ton of people here, and I was here all weekend before that. So my days are just messed up. But yeah, last week we all met up at the Bel Air house. It was you guys, me, Seg, Side-Eye guy was there, Dawson, and then also, what's the guy's name? Josh. I'm sorry, Josh. And we all met up. We all stayed for the night. We sort of investigated. Sort of. I mean, it was a hodgepodge of like an investigation.
Right.
You had some issues. So I guess overall, like, let's start at the beginning. Like, first impressions when you guys pulled up. What did you guys think?
For me, real quick. Well, for Dawn and I, real quick, we did notice the area. Not a very well kept up area. Very noisy. And we noticed that there were apartments basically right next to the house. There's a lot of things we noticed, the condition of the house, things like that.
Right.
And that's something I don't always talk about it, but that is something that I do notice when I go to these places. The spot, the location, the conditions, and you know, the world around it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. You really have to. It's something to consider, and because you don't know. I mean, so many people report noises and voices and hearing names and talking, and voices carry. We know this. We also hear doors slamming and windows slamming and car doors and all kinds of noises like that. Plus, anything you might hear from a television or a radio that's too loud or something like that, or even just traffic. And all of that was within close proximity. We had issues. And then also, I mean, yeah, you have to look at the condition of the house itself. Driving up, there were a lot of buildings that looked like they were abandoned. So that brings up some concerns about the area. And I don't know. I don't live there. I was only there for one night, so I'm not judging anyone I'm not trying to be mean, but you have to consider the area and say, all right, what's going on maybe at night? It's just a quote unquote bad neighborhood when shit happens. The condition of the house itself, I was surprised. To be honest, when I drove up the first time, I was like, I don't know if I want to stay here. I was rethinking it because the outside, the paint was peeling all over the place.
Windows busted out.
Yes. There was wood rotted on the side, at least at one bedroom. And this is a concern. And I've been to places before where, and I won't name names here, but there have been places where there was white and black mold that was visible. Like you could just walk up and touch it. Just on the walls and in rooms where people were supposed to be sleeping. So this is a real concern of mine because allergies and stuff like that. I mean, people can get sick, nauseated. And I mean, that's a symptom that we hear about. You know, people claim, I feel sick. I got nauseous at one point. Is that because the place is haunted or is it because there was a mold infestation in the walls? You know, we don't know. So,
Yeah, I definitely got sick while I was there, but it had nothing to do with the house.
I felt bad for you, man.
That was definitely not good.
Yeah. I mean, you were, but you know what? I give you credit. Like, you came in, you weren't feeling good. You kind of crashed out, and it was like we'd all be talking, like gathered around, just having a discussion. You're crashed out, like spread out on the couch, all spread out. And then somebody would say, all right, well, you know what? Why don't we do this here? Okay. All right, let's get our stuff and go. And then I turn around and boom, you were standing right there. And it was like, where the fuck did he come from? Like all of a sudden you're awake, wide awake, ready to go. Let's go.
I feel bad because I wanted to be more involved in like the discussions and things like that, but I was just not good.
Yeah. And then we got inside and walked around the house. What first impressions, Dawn? What did you think of the interior as you walked around?
Gosh, I was comfortable walking around there. mean, it just kind of felt like I was just walking around someone's house. Like I didn't feel like, and I don't like saying I don't feel anything, you know, when I'm walking around, but it was just like a comfort level, because some of the things I heard before was like women aren't welcome. You know, I didn't have any issues there at all, especially in one part where, you know, we're not supposed to be by ourselves, and I had no issues. So, but I guess I was expecting a little more. You know, I hadn't really seen the inside too much, other than a few shows I watched, and I just didn't remember what it really looked like. So I felt comfortable.
That's good.
I felt comfortable. It was a beautiful home. I mean, it needs, you know, of course it needs work, but it was still a beautiful home. I was actually surprised the wood floor weren't freaking loud.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, we came from the Conjuring house after that, so and that floor is just you can't move a toe without making, no pun intended. No. I just
like
thought
night and day.
Yeah,
move a toe. That's good.
Oh, I didn't mean that. Oh, jeez. But no, I mean, I don't like to watch like television shows or even certain YouTubers that go to these locations like the Bel Air house, because it's like they overhype it. TV overhypes it, YouTubers overhype it, and then you get there and it's like, this is nothing like what people explain it to be like, or anything like that. And I think and it's sad because you get people like, oh, I want to go there because I hear all these crazy things, and their expectations of the place is so high. They get there and it's like, what happened? Did I just waste money? Like,
yeah, you feel that letdown. And I mean, I was the same way. I'm a professional skeptic. That's what I do. And yeah, I don't maintain beliefs that I'm going to find something, but I go into it hopeful. I really do hope that I will. And even going to that place, I was excited. I was excited for a few reasons. You know, I was going to meet you guys. And I mean, we've talked a bunch of times, but never met in person. So I was excited about that. I was excited to meet you guys and hang out. I was excited to meet Side Eye Guy because I just wanted to, you know, the Green Reaper. I was going to say, because you're not here, I did see if he would come on, but he was too busy packing. He had to pack, and he was complaining about reception, some bullshit. I don't know. He just
whatever.
Whatever. He was super nice though. It was really nice to see him. It freaked me out seeing him without a mask, because when he came in, I heard his voice, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" And I go in, I'm looking at him, and he's talking, and I was like, "No, put the mask back on." You're freaking me out, dude. I'm like,
so it wasn't. So seeing him without the mask in person wasn't that big of a shocker. Crow, Dawn, and I, we seen him quite some time ago without it. He did a live stream. He's done with the live stream, and he popped that mask off. I'm like, oh, okay. He trusts us. That's cool.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and I understand because a bunch of people have asked me, like, why? Why does he wear a mask? And they ask about Crow. Why does he wear a mask? Privacy. You know, I get it. There's risk involved with putting yourself out there,
right?
Especially with what they're doing. You know, they're reviewing people's stuff. They're reacting to other people's videos, and yeah, a lot of times, they're making the original people look foolish because they're pointing out obvious things or very simple things, and you don't want to get that. What do I want? Retribution. I think that's the right word. You don't want to get kickback or negative feedback from them or people looking you up. I mean, I've had death threats. I've had people tell me they're going to come to my house, that they're going to come to the conference, and I'm not going to be able to walk away after they see me. You know, stupid shit like that, just because I wrote an article about them. So I get it. I understand the secrecy, and I have no problem with it.
But not only that, too, it's a good gimmick, right?
Yeah.
It adds a layer of mystery to who are these people, really?
Right.
Who are they?
Who are they? All right. So moving on, we had the owner come out. Well, the owner was there, and
Right.
like first impression, she was nice. She was nice to me.
Oh yeah.
I did get messages throughout the night from people because when I posted the original video saying that we were here, I got messages from people like really saying that they didn't like her. That she, all kinds. I'm not going to get into it because again, she was nice to me.
Right.
And even when we had conversations and I explained what I did and like who I was, what I did, she still was nice to me.
Right. Well, I think she was well aware of who you are anyways.
Okay.
And for her to let you in,
Right.
that's ballsy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because I had asked Seg about that. I was like, does she know like my name? Like I'm coming there because I was worried about showing up and then her saying no. You're not coming in. I don't want you in the house. Because it's happened. It's happened, and it's sad.
Right.
I try to be as fair as possible, but sometimes it happens. So, very nice. Let me in. We had good conversation with her. She told us some of the history of the place. And then we got into one of my favorite parts, oddly enough, was a spirit box session, which I mean, pretty much looked like a seance. I mean, it was funny. It was in the seance room,
Right.
which I found kind of like ironic since there was a rule about no rituals or anything like that. I'm like, you're basically doing a ritual. That's what we're doing.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, do you want to get like really eyeball it? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And it started off. I'm going to give you props, Joe, because I was surprised. You brought out a box, a radio, excuse me, and it's cycling through the stations. And instead of just putting it on the table and doing the standard shit that you see on TV, you put it in a Faraday bag.
Two of them.
I mean, you put it in one, rolled it up, put that into another bag. And these were decent bags. These were actually better than the ones that I've seen before. So I'm glad you had them. And I mean, it cut out. I didn't hear anything from it. Right. I know. Like Steg thought he heard laughing at one point, like in the beginning. And I don't know if anyone else, like Dawson, I think, said something. But
we thought we were hearing something. It did sound like it was coming through the radio, but we figured out it was actually the table. We were kind of moving the table a little bit, and it was making a noise.
Right. And that was great. I was so impressed because, to be honest, man, I'm usually the dick. I'm usually the one going, can we put it in a bag? Can we put it in a box? That's probably the table. But I think I said one thing. I did ask if we were asking for like a sign or a word, if we could ask for a specific sign, not just any kind of random thing. But other than that, like I didn't say anything. I just stood there with everyone else and just filmed.
Right.
That was great.
I think I am not like that typical investigator. And I know Dawn can tell you this as well. And she's not going to just say it just because we're together or anything like that. Believe me, she has shown me things or let me hear things. I'm like, no.
But Dawn, if you want to, I can mute him. And then you can tell your side of the story. So, you let me know. Blink twice. Oh, okay.
I don't take things at face value. If I hear a sound, now a lot of times when I hear a sound, I'm sorry, I'm not going to chase it down because by the time I even figure out where the hell it came from, it ain't happening again.
Okay.
But I don't sit there and say, well, that was paranormal. Like, oh, what the hell is that? Kind of thing.
Right.
No, I'm not the typical paranormal investigator. I do things differently. I understand because it seems like most investigators, they don't understand what evidence is at all. And
I agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
I understand. Now, I have captured some things. I'm not going to sit there and tell you it was paranormal, but I've captured some interesting things. But I'm like, it's not evidence. There's example, Hales Bar Dam. Me and another investigator, we heard a bell ring. There's no power in that part of, well, there's no power in the dam at all. And it happened 3 times. It was a short blast, a little bit of a longer blast, and then a longer blast. I don't know what the hell happened. I have no idea. I know it wasn't any of us. The place doesn't have power. I don't have an explanation for that, but I'm not going to tell you it was paranormal. I'm not going to tell you a ghost was like ringing this freaking bell. I have no idea. Nobody has got proof. And anyone who says otherwise, I don't know what proof is.
So let me ask you, like, what's your reasoning that you won't say this bell ringing thing is paranormal?
Because it wasn't in front of my face. I wasn't there to observe what happened. If it was in front of my face and it rang and I could not come up with an explanation, of course, I'm going to say, hey, ask somebody else, can this happen? What happened here? If they don't have an explanation for that either, it still doesn't mean a freaking ghost did it. Now, we still have to figure out what the hell happened.
Okay, good. I like that. All right, so we did the entire ghost box thing. You actually took it out for a little bit because I think somebody asked if we could take it out of the bags, and even that, I was impressed. I don't want to kiss your ass. I really don't, but I'm gonna because I was so impressed.
I can't believe I impressed you.
I'm telling you, dude. I'm used to being the token skeptic guy. So I go to these things. I love seeing and observing what people are doing, how their methods, why they believe the methods are valid, and why they think the data that they're collecting is evidence of whatever. I love seeing this, but I also, I usually have problems. I usually have problems with their methodology and the reasoning behind it, and the lack of sufficient data to support what they're saying. So when I see things like you put it in a Faraday bag, you put it in another Faraday bag, I was like, damn, double deuce. I mean, I love it. And then when you took it out and you started hearing, of course, you started hearing the radio again.
Right.
And I think Seg was asking questions, or Dawson. One of them was asking questions. And it was funny because I think Dawson, and I'm not picking on Dawson, but I think Dawson was picking up like, oh, it said this. It said that. At one point, he picked out a word, and I think he was trying to do the association game,
right,
where he immediately tried to change the subject of the conversation from the original question that was asked and go a different direction. And you stopped them. You stopped them and said, no, that's not an answer to the question. That doesn't count. No.
Right.
It did not answer our question. And I thought that was great. I was like, fuck yeah. There's somebody else that's going to speak up. This is great.
Now,
I love it.
If he had Dawson asked, instead of leading to follow it, that would have been a little different. I still would have said the same thing, but I would have been like, okay, sure, go for it. Because I'll do that sometimes too. But I'll make it clear. I'll say, all right, I'm going to go from leading to following. We'll just see, just in case. But the outcome is usually the same. It's all over the place. It doesn't make sense. Right. And once in a while you might get something interesting, but you got to factor in coincidence.
Right. Yeah. And some of the comments are saying, well, Dawson is kind of young. And yeah, he is. But I also want to say he was a nice guy. He was a nice. I keep wanting to call him a kid. He's a nice kid.
He's the same age as my daughter.
I know. When he said how old he was, I'm like, dude, I've literally been doing this longer than you've been in existence.
Yep.
It just makes me feel so old.
Kids will do that.
But we had conversation. Like he would ask a lot of questions, and there was the typical pushback. Like he would ask me a question, I would offer an explanation, and then there were the follow-ups. Like, well, what about this? But what about this? And I get it. You know, that's a standard conversation. It's cool. I have nothing against it. And I mean, we would go outside and have really long conversations. But he would listen. He wasn't just blowing me off. He wasn't just like, you know, whatever, old man, you know, telling me what to do or whatever this. He actually listened. And then he did follow-up questions that were in line with what we were talking about. They weren't just, you know, random shit here and there. So I give him credit for that. And I mean, at the end of the night, at one point where I think it was right before we decided to go to bed, he said, you know, I leaned over and I was like, dude, I appreciate, you know, us having conversations, because like we had a rocky start when we started interacting.
Right.
And but I mean, it turned out great. I appreciate the conversation, and he said, so did he, and he learned a lot of things from me. So I mean, mission accomplished. That was my goal.
Right.
So really nice guy. And I hope that by seeing this and then the rest of the stuff that we did throughout the night, he gets a better understanding of how to approach it.
It's probably, I mean, I guess it's really going to depend on him, but if he goes the right direction, give him 2-3 years and he'll really start to understand the whole thing with, like, you know, the music boxes and all the other gimmicky stuff and a lot of the other like theories, you know, they're not, you can't rely on anything. And the theories, they're regurgitated. They go, you can usually trace a theory back to like Ed and Lorraine Warren.
No.
There is a question here from Jade Kitten. I think that's right.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
So I'll let Dawn answer separately. Do I believe? I do believe, but I think it's extremely rare. But at the same time, we say ghost because that's what we believe. I don't know what it is that's going on. Hell, for all I know, it could be us like creating like the whole thing in such a way, like our imaginations or something. Or there, you know, maybe there's something to it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Okay. I would love to find out. I think I'm more prepared to be wrong than I am to be right.
That's refreshing. That really. I like you, Joe. I like you, man. Good guy.
Yeah. No, Joe is debunking my so-called evidence or things that I would talk about my experiences when we were dating. Like, I'm like, I barely know this guy. He's telling me I didn't experience this stuff. So it was.
I had an explanation. I didn't say that. I said, here's the explanation.
It was funny. And then we did our first investigation together, and my hair got pulled up, and it was like, you know, we had some experiences together, but we've had so many times where it was just dead. I mean, no pun intended.
99% of the time, nothing happens. Yeah. Now, Dawn's hair did get pulled up. We don't know what the hell happened. We caught it on, Octagon Hall. Their security cameras caught it. But you can see her hair. Unfortunately, the video's crap.
Okay.
But we can see that something did happen. So, I mean, that was interesting. I don't know what happened.
Right.
Yeah, and I actually
gravity glitch or something. I don't know.
I felt the floorboards, like someone stepping behind me when it happened. It was weird because you see me looking behind me to see if someone's stepping behind me, and then I told Joe I felt like someone pulled my hair up and let it fall back down because it just felt like a natural, like not really pulled heavily, but just a natural feeling of someone lightly bringing your hair up and letting it fall to your back. And then he saw it move forward when I was talking about it. He saw my hair move forward.
She had hair just hanging on her shoulder, and it was more back to the back.
Right.
But it flipped forward. And she didn't move her head or anything like that. I'm like, I had to think about it for a few seconds. I'm like, did I seriously just see that? So, and again, I'm not going to sit there and be like it was a ghost, because I don't know.
Yeah, but I was going to say one thing about me before I met Joe too was everyone knew that I would ghost hunt. I did a lot of group events. I got tired of like the group events because everybody contaminated every inch of the property. So I did some private things for friends where they're like, well, you're into this, can you tell me what's going on in my home? And I would be debunking everything and say, this is high EMF, just turn this stuff off or unplug it at night. And they'd be like, are you sure you're an investigator? Are you sure you're into the paranormal? And I'm like, yeah, I am, but you don't have anything going on. So, I mean, I put their minds at ease, but.
That is so funny that you go in, you find an explanation for it, and the response is, are you sure you're an investigator? Like the irony, that makes me laugh. It's like, well, that's what investigators do. Right. You're supposed to investigate.
But that's what the debunking community is getting, that, pushback too of, so you don't believe in the paranormal. And a lot of us do. It's just, we don't take everything as paranormal.
Right. And I mean, I don't hold any beliefs in the paranormal, but I would really like something to be true. I would like ghosts to be real. I would love a demon to be real, because I think we could hang out and party so hard. I would love aliens to be visiting the planet, because I definitely, I've said this a million times, I want to drive. I want to drive one of the spacecraft.
You want to Will Smith that shit, huh?
Hell yeah. I want a noisy cricket. I want all this stuff. So, all right. So we got a few minutes before our break. The next thing we did, we're going to talk a little bit about this, but the basement, we went down in the basement, which was usually it's you're not allowed to go down alone. You have to go down with a bunch of people, and we have a discussion. I'm not going to go into the discussion because I talked to the owner about it to see what the reasoning behind that was. And she was very, very forthcoming. We talked about it. She looked hesitant about it. And I don't know if it was sincere or not. I'm going to err on the side of it was sincere. But she did give us permission to go down there by ourselves, do little experiments. And one of the things that you guys made me do was this stupid Estes method.
And there was a reason for that. And
it was a good reason. Go ahead.
Right. There's going to be people out there when you say, oh, look, this is what's going on. And people, well, you've never done it before.
Right.
How do you know? You don't know. You haven't experienced it. What do you know? Now you know.
Right. And it was worth it. It was definitely worth it. For exactly what you said, and even more so than I figured going into it, because we were talking about it beforehand, and I was like, yeah, all right, I'll do it. You're right. Let me sit down and go through the whole experience so I can actually have an opinion. And that's one of my things. Like, I won't give an opinion on a book or a movie without actually reading it or seeing it. I won't give an opinion. I'll give an opinion on places where there's a lot written about it, but I'll reserve like my final opinion until I get there. So going through it, I realized I really hate it. I hate the method. It made me angry. And the reason it made me angry was because just the loud noise and the constant changing over and over again. I mean, I years and years as a mechanic, like my hearing is not that great anyway. So loud noises get on my nerves. Right. And to sit there with headphones and have this blasting in my ears and just cycling through the stations was really annoying. But it gave me that insight because as I was spitting out words that I could recognize, and that was the hard part because you're trying to listen and pick out words. And I wasn't sure for most of it, but then I started picking out words and saying them. And at one point I said fire, but I also said it's from Ring of Fire. Like I heard the song. I heard that phrase. The last word fire. And I was like, this is Ring of Fire. This is Johnny Cash. I know this song, but I hear it. And I think I did a couple times. I don't remember exactly what I spit out. But like I heard commercials that I was familiar with, but I was only hearing one word of the commercial or two words. And I would spit out the one word and say, oh, I think this is from a commercial. And you're right, Joe. Like that gave me better insight into what people are hearing. And if they're not familiar with it, then they're just throwing out random words. And again, it also goes back to the game of association. I didn't hear what you guys were doing. So I don't know who was asking questions or what. I don't know how that went. I know the session later on when Seg took over, that the conversation was being led by whatever Seg was spitting out. And I found that, and we can get to that in the next hour, because I had an issue with that I think I brought it up. Yeah, I brought it up.
Right.
But what did you guys think? What do you have to add to that?
Dawn and I, we would do that. And one of the reasons why I like to do that is to show people that, what you guys see on like either TV or on YouTube, it's just no. Some of it could be a coincidence, but the way things are edited and just presented, no. Right. It's not like you're going to get these answers and you're talking to a spirit. Is it a possibility? Sure. But again, like, how do you validate that anyways?
Right.
A string of coincidences doesn't validate anything.
Right. All right. We are at the hour mark, so we're going to take a break. You guys are going to get a 4-minute break to go do whatever you have to do. And we will come back. I have a few questions we can go through, and then we'll go back to going through the Bel Air house night. You guys good for hanging out for a while?
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. That's good. All right, so I have my commercial break, which is tweaked just a little bit because it's got another song that someone wrote. So hopefully you guys like it. And so it's changed up a little. All the slides are the same. It's just I changed up the music. So I hope you enjoy it because I like this song too. So I will see you back here in 4 minutes and 10 seconds from now.
And now for something completely different.
Welcome, my fellow skeptics. Welcome, one and all. I am the chief investigator. Oh, come along, old chap. We will have a ball. Now, if you will excuse me, it's time to open the mic. Good night. Good night. Kenny Biddle's the name, investigating's my game, and I will have at it. Quid pro quo. As the head of this committee, hunting for ghosts can be shitty, but there is nothing better that I know. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? Let's open the bar and have some questions, alright. Maybe you might find an answer or two. I will find the truth this night and day. And if my name is not Kenny Biddle, then I assure you here I will not stay. Good day. Kenny Biddle's the name, goes hunting's the game. I won't let anything get in my way. Too many fakers out there, too many chefs, too many toe tappers, none of it makes any sense. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? Let's open the bar and ask some questions, alright. Maybe you might find an answer or two. Who knows? There may be ghosts in the machine, but trust me, I am not so keen. I prefer to see these things clearly, not in 144 key. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? If you don't think I am right, let If you don't think I am right, let's open mic night. Yeah. If you have an answer or two, let Kenny Biddle solve it for you. Let Kenny Biddle solve it for you. The one and only Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle. Kenny
Woo! What did everyone think of that? I love. Oh my God! I've been playing these two songs all week long, and annoying the shit out of my coworkers because I just turn the radio. I turn it all the way up. And I'm right in the middle.
Imagine
of
playing
everything.
imagine playing Seg's song all the time.
Oh my God!
That one's more popish.
I love these. I love these. Oh, all right, guys. We got a couple questions. Let's go through these, and then we'll get back to our night at the Bel Air house. Okay, making sure. So we got Bruce up here. Always wondered what your thought about the Bruce. Oh, I did answer that. Never mind. That one was good. Let's see. What about this one? How do places like that stay in business without upkeep? So for me, I don't know what's going on. I've had one place, and I mentioned it about the mold. They had white mold and black mold. This was a completely different place. I've been there, and I did contact them. I got in contact with the owners afterwards, after I stayed there for the night, and told them, basically, I said, you have a week to clean this up, and I'm calling the township because this is disgusting. You can't have people staying overnight in this place. You can't be charging people to stay overnight and have black mold and white mold like all over the place. Absolutely not. And from what I was told, they ran out, they got the chemical cleaners and stuff and supposedly cleaned it up, but I haven't checked yet. I really need to check that. Another place I've been to had like open holes in the wall to the outside and everything. After I told them about it, they fixed everything. So this, I don't know. I mean, I will say this. I'm going to add to this. After we went to bed, when we finally went to bed, and I think it was like 4 a.m. by the time we all went up to our rooms. I had one room. I walked in. I had noticed it earlier. There was a damage in the ceiling. There was a tile that had, and I really didn't take a close look, but it might have had, I don't know what it was. I'm not going to say it, but it had damage. And it looked like it went up to the attic or the roof or whatever. And there was a bucket underneath of it. And I was like, all right, that's concerning, but I'm tired. It's 4 a.m. I'm tired. I go to sleep. Within an hour, I think at 5, a little after 5, I woke up from a crash. And it was a whole bunch of water that came from the ceiling into that bucket. I'm not talking drip, drip, drip. I mean, it went boom, and it hit the bucket and then started dripping. And I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I was just too tired to care at that point. I was like, I got to get another like hour or so of sleep. And I think I slept until Joe banged on my door.
Yeah.
Get the fuck up. What do you guys think?
So most of the locations that I have been to, they're kept up pretty well. There have been a couple where I'm like, I'm not doing this again. Old South Pittsburgh Hospital is a great example. The previous owner was not taking good care of it, and little did anyone know there was black mold.
Wow.
Yeah, and I actually stayed there almost a week a few years back, at that place around this black mold. And I didn't even notice it. It's dark. All I got is like an IR light in a camera. That's it. So I can't see, all of that stuff. So then the new owner bought the place, and that guy shut it down until all of that stuff was cleaned up. He did a lot of work, but he actually gives a shit. So a lot of these places, when we come to investigate, that money goes back into those buildings. Some of them, I'm not going to throw any names out there, but there've been a couple where it's like, people want to come here and chase their own shadows and some random, building sounds and throw that money at me. And, whatever. I don't care. I just spend it on whatever.
Yeah. I've been there, and like one place I will mention, the Hinsdale House. I've been there a few times, and Daniel, who runs that, real nice guy. He only lives a few minutes from me. He's always been really nice to me. I find him friendly and professional, and like we've actually had lunch together, just hung out. After I was there the first time, I did a video. And in the video, I pointed out some things, and I wasn't being mean or anything like that. I was just pointing out, like, in the crawl space underneath in the basement, I was like, I can see to the outside,
Right.
Crawl space. There's a big hole. Animals could get in here, and not just in the crawl space, but into the basement because it's just open. And then therefore maybe up into the house. And then I pointed out some other things, and he actually fixed it. He saw the video. I had talked to him beforehand because there were other issues that I wanted to bring to his attention before I put the video out. But he fixed it. Like the next time I went there, I walked around just to check because, I don't trust anyone. But I looked around. I was like, wow, he actually fixed everything. Really, really good. I like that. And yeah, he does put the money back into the house, which is nice. It's nice to see. I mean, I still don't think it's haunted, but at least he's putting the money into it, and that's good. That's what everyone should be doing.
Right.
So, all right, let me see what else. What else we got? We got a couple other questions here. Wisdom: can residual haunting disappear over time or be stopped by conventional means? Oh, so. To me, a residual haunting means it's like a memory kind of thing.
Right.
It's always there. It plays the same thing over and over again, no matter what. And then depending on who you talk to, it'll play for anyone or it'll play for certain people. You have to be sensitive enough. For me, I don't subscribe to that belief. I don't think there is a residual haunting. I think it's something else. And it really depends on the situation, because all of the stories that I've ever heard of that would be classified as residual haunting have been like second and third hand. So I don't have the firsthand information. I don't have that firsthand account. So I can't really comment too much about it. But I've never had it happen to me. I've never met anyone that actually experienced it firsthand that could give me that information. So I don't know. So I'll pass it to you guys.
Well, I've had one experience. My first ghost hunt ever at a Civil War battlefield here in Kentucky. And when the little ghost tour started at around midnight, I could hear cannons going off. And they had reenactors with their little campsite set up, and they said, we don't shoot that off. And that's some of the residents that live there constantly say they hear cannons going off. And as soon as I said, did you all hear that? I was the only one who heard it. And then they listened and it went off again. And one of the reenactors that I was with leading this tour said, yeah, you definitely heard the same thing. And they heard it finally. But I mean, to me, that was residual because they weren't shooting them off. And it was like you would hear in the movies, just like they're fighting.
So I would comment on that and just say it'll be some pushback, but a residual haunting to me would be someone like if you walked into a room and you saw a ghost, you saw an apparition and go through the same motions. Like maybe they fell down the stairs and that's how they died. And then you came in a week or a month or a year later and saw the same thing happen. So I when you hear like what sounds like cannon fire, but you're not actually present to see where it came from, like I wouldn't consider that a residual haunting. It's a noise. We don't know what it could be because we don't know the source.
What would you call it, Joe?
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I said, what would you call that, Joe? Because you know my story with that.
Right. I mean, I think residual can be both visual and audible. It's conditional. The main theory behind that whole thing is that conditions have to be right for a residual occurrence to happen. And many people think, it may have something to do with like a storm coming through, or weather, just weather in general, basically. I have, again, with hails, I talked about the bell ring, but there have been times where I'm like, who has a REM pod? Because it literally sounded like there was a REM pod in the room with us, and there's no REM pod. I have also heard what sounded like somebody running like a table saw inside Hale's Bar Dam. And I looked around thinking maybe a boat, hit something. And we're looking, like, well, I don't see a damn thing. What the hell is that? I don't know what it was. But there were other things too, where you literally sound, it sounds like somebody's there who's not there. Their voice. They have been there before. So, but that could also be something, I don't want to like go off the deep end here, but that could be something mimicking it as well. I don't have an answer to what was experienced there. I do think there is something to that, but I'm not sure of the conditions and why that would happen.
Right. It's funny. Like I don't know if you saw, like I started to smile a little bit when you said about the table saw, and I'm not laughing at you. A friend of mine, Melanie, different than Melanie Tracy King, who's been on the show, but another Melanie that I know in California. She used to live in Tennessee, and she went to the same place. And I know they did a live stream at one point, or they filmed a little bit and they posted it real while they were still there. But at one point, they had a circular saw connected to a motion sensor. I don't know how they did it, but they did that.
Wow.
And I remember going, are you fucking stupid? You have a table saw? Like, if somebody moves in front of it, that table saw is going to go and start spinning, and you have it just loose. That's not safe, first. But why? And it was just because that's what they had on hand. And I was like, no. So it made me laugh, like thinking, like, you guys thought you heard a saw, a table saw, and I'm like, somebody did have a circular saw there.
That's interesting. I will say that is interesting. And then, this was like at like 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. We're like, who the hell would be running a table saw? Like, what the hell? Like, it legit sounded like it. Maybe I'll shorten that clip and I'll just send it to you to let you hear it. But it really did. So
I would also suggest at one point, I don't know if you guys have watched it, if you ever watched Stone Tape Theory, or
that
the
old
Stone
movie.
Tape, the old black and white movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I see residual hauntings, as that, where you had like people coming into a room, something would play over and over, the same thing over and over again.
Right.
But you had a wide range of reactions. Some people saw the figure and heard what was going on. Some people only saw it. Some people only heard it. And then some people didn't, all on the same team, which, I mean, it's a fictional movie, but
Right.
it's beautiful. It was ahead of its time, basically. I suggest anyone watch it if you haven't
That's
seen
probably where this whole thing came from, the whole stone tape
That's what
theory.
I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Really think that's the origin of it. Cool. All right. So we got a couple more. We got a couple more questions. You guys still good with questions? You're good?
Oh, yeah.
Good. Wisdom. Kenny Biddle, up for me. Could you devise a device that could silence out all of the white noise? I'm not sure exactly what this is in reference to, but
maybe maybe like a spirit box. You can use a noise gate.
Yeah.
But then the theory is that that's how spirits, ghosts, whatever you want to call them, and or both, I guess. That's how they communicate through white noise.
See, like I've heard differently. So I've heard the same and different. So depending on who you talk to and what devices they're using, it's like we just put on white noise and whatever we hear from the white noise, we hear. But then, like with ghost boxes and spirit boxes, people are just shouting out the words that they actually hear, not the static in between, not the white noise in between. They're shouting out the words.
That's error on their part. They're off on that. Like they're not. People will say, "Oh, we're supposed to listen to like the stations or whatever," and they're throwing out those words that they're hearing. They're coming from the radio station, believing that these spirits are using radio stations to communicate. Which, what if a ghost says, "Hey, I want a hamburger," something that I got this from Crow, right? But nobody's talking about hamburgers on any of these radio stations. How do they like? I mean, if that was true, Ghost would have to be disappointed.
That's one of the things I brought up before, and I've heard other people bring it up. Like, if you're going to use a radio that's literally scanning through the stations that we know are broadcasting, that we know the radio is receiving these broadcasts from, then you actually need to have multiple radios dialed into every station that's can be received in that area, and have everything recorded and timestamped, like all of these stations, so you can go back on your ghost box channel and compare and say, "Oh, I think I got an answer here. I think it's like an answer to my question. It's intelligent conversation," and then you'll be able to reference through or cross-reference with all the stations that were recorded and see if you actually got a commercial or a news broadcast or something like that. To me, that's the science way to do it. That's the scientific way to experiment and test this hypothesis. But you're never going to have it done.
Yeah, no, that's a huge task.
Yeah,
it is.
Science is hard. Science is hard, man.
Where do the curse words come from? Like when I've done some S's and I get the curse words, not all radio stations allow that. So I'm wondering where I hear that from.
So now we're dealing with what part of the word did you hear?
What's the full word? The F word, the S word?
For you, it may sound like the full word, but if you're only getting that sliver or that slice of the broadcast, then you don't know if somebody comes across and says the word relationship, it may sound like shit to you because you're only getting that last part, and because there's static on each side, that could happen. So we don't know. And again, it goes back to, we have to record all of the available stations in order to have something to cross-reference with. We need to be able to compare and rule out the terrestrial broadcasts and say, all right, look, we've done, there's 20 local stations that are in this area that come in. We've gone through, we recorded all 20. We have everything timestamped. Channel 21 is your ghost box session that was plugged in. We go to that timestamp and see what was playing, and we compare it to all the other 20 stations and see if something comes up. If nothing comes up, then it's interesting. Then it becomes interesting and something that warrants further study. Right. But I mean, there's plenty of times when you can cut off parts of words and it sounds like a curse word. And is that what we're listening for? You know, what are we listening to in the context of the question being asked? And again, we don't know the context, depending on, I guess, how the method is done. Like I've never heard it. Like when I was wearing the headphones, you guys could hear the noise, right?
We were able to hear a little bit of it. Yeah.
Okay. Like I've never seen that on video before. I've never seen people do it where it was that loud. So I wasn't sure. I mean, I was glad because I couldn't hear the questions, so I couldn't influence what I was listening for.
Right.
So that was good. But yeah, the rest of it was just annoying. But to answer your question, Dawn, I don't know. I'm just throwing out what I'm speculating about. So I don't have an actual answer for you.
I mean, you know, basically we're really getting like these cut up syllables, and a lot of times our brain fills in the blank. So if we hear, you know, what sounds like part of a word, our brain's like fill in the blank, and then this is what I think I heard, and you throw it out there.
Yeah. All right. I think we have one more question, and we get back to what we were doing. Get back to the night. Squatch talk. What's up, Squatcher? Audible is actual vibrations through the air from a source in real time. So square that circle, please. I'm not sure what this is in reference to. Audible is actual. So yeah, sound is vibration through a medium. And usually the medium is air when we're on the planet. And you can have it travel through other materials like wood and other things like through walls and stuff like that. So I get it. Square the air is source through the air from a source in real time. So there would have to, there's something that has to create the noise. Something is creating it. And I think that's the issue, is like, where is it coming from? What's the source of the sound? And if you don't see the sound, if you don't see the source or find the source, then we're left with, I don't know what caused this. I think. Is that how you guys are seeing this question? I'm not sure.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
Okay. No worries. No worries. Oh, one final question and then we'll move on. Have you guys ever played with the Echo Box? Yeah.
I haven't. Yeah. Basically, it's I can't remember what book they use, but they use this book and basically chopped it all up so you're only getting syllables. I'll use it from time to time, but I don't use it exactly the way it was intended. You can use the microphone with that app, but you need an external speaker, like a Bluetooth speaker, to get it away from the phone.
Right.
And what I like to do from time to time is try to see if I ask a question, can I hear the response back, rather than having to go back and listen to it on a digital recorder. See if I can hear it in real time. Hasn't happened yet.
Okay. Good. I think I've played with it, but not enough to make an opinion. I think it's been a while since I've actually touched on it. And then answer real quick, Devil's Hour Productions. No, I haven't watched it yet. I have watched it. I don't know if you were the one that asked me before, because someone brought this up. I haven't watched it again, and I just wrote it down on my list too. So hopefully tonight or tomorrow I'll get time and I'll watch it, and I'll have a. But by your question, I don't think you were the one that asked this before. So basically, I don't think it was anything legit. I thought the actual footage, I thought the rest of the documentary was like a waste, and then the actual footage, which was only a few seconds, was not worth it. I don't think it was worth it. Did you guys see that?
I have. I've seen all of Chad Kalich's documentaries. I mean, they're all right. I know Matt, he looks up to Chad Kalich's, like, when it comes to like documentaries and stuff like that. I don't mean to sound like an asshole, but I don't know what's so great or stand out about his documentaries. And I hate to like pat ourselves on the back here, but when we did, and maybe I'm biased here, but as far as I'm concerned, the Harrisville haunting, Nobody can compete with that right now in terms of paranormal documentaries. The quality
even have a
and
skeptic in there.
yeah, you were in it. Hey, 24 awards, guys. Just saying.
I'm waiting for them. I can clear a shelf. I'm waiting.
You have to buy them, dude. They're expensive.
No,
They're
I'm not.
expensive as hell. I only have one. Only one out of 24 because they're like, I think the cheapest one was like actually $40 or something, $45, but the rest of them were like $300, $400, $500 and shit like that. I'm like, oh God.
All right, so we can move on now. We can go. We did the basement Estes method that I did. I think. Did you guys have any comments you wanted to make about that? No. Yes. No. Maybe.
I will say one of the first questions that I was asked about investigating with you was Kenny Biddle intimidating? I'm like, no, he wasn't intimidating at all. Like,
really?
I mean, why would you be intimidated? Because you're a skeptic and you're going on an investigation with a bunch of shithead paranormal investigators? I'd like, what?
I don't. That's funny. No, I mean, it was. I thought it was good. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was refreshing because everyone was saying what they thought.
Right.
They were speaking freely, and that's rare because too many times you get into these groups and people, they say one thing and wait till you leave the room and they say another thing. And I think I didn't follow you guys out of the room, but I think everyone was speaking their mind. Several times, like Dawson and I would have conversations, and we were definitely speaking our mind and not holding back.
And definitely, well, I guess we're going to have to agree to disagree. I heard that.
I didn't say that.
No, Dawson did.
I'm like, I'm not agreeing to disagree.
I do remember one time during that Estes method, which was interesting, was I think it was Seg who said something about Kenny being an investigator, and you immediately said debunk.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I'm like,
that was
how
funny.
does debunk come through in the Estes method? And we told you about it. We're like, that was kind of interesting.
I think I did follow up, though. I think when I said that name or said that word, I think I followed up with something else that I wasn't sure if that's what I actually heard. I don't know. I hopefully
we have to go back.
Yeah.
Oh no, we all recorded it.
Okay. All right.
Kenny. We were like, check this guy out. We're
I
torturing him.
gotta say that was one of the funniest things because it was like somebody, I think Dawson, was like, "Can we turn the lights out?" And like we turned the lights out to do something, but we had these spotlights from everyone's camera. I'm like, why? Why didn't we just keep the lights on? This is ridiculous. Because I had one, Joe, you had one. I know Dawson had one, and then I think Seg had like his phone. His phone light was on when he was filming. So it's like, yeah, we can see. There's no problem. But
and also, and I've noticed this throughout the years, how impatient people start getting, how agitated people can get when they're investigating. I noticed that with the side-eye guy, I could see he was getting antsy, he was getting impatient. But I could also see that with Dawson and things like that, because it's like nothing, honestly, hardly nothing like happens.
Yeah. And I will say, and again, I don't want to pick on Dawson. Very nice kid. I think he was enthusiastic. I've seen like 2 or 3 of his videos, and he didn't like the way I described his channel. I called him more of like a ghost hunter / entertainer, and he didn't like the entertainer part. But I thought like it was, when I watched the channel, I see like a lot of not jump scares, but jump cuts, and the, did you hear that? Oh, what was that? Oh my God, there was something there. Like very excited, very overexcited kind of behavior. And I find that like cookie cutter kind of thing with those kind of channels. It's very cookie cutter. It's made to like get people high drama and get you involved, get you like on the edge of your seat, waiting for something to happen. And I think this was a reality check because we did take precautions. We did voice our opinions. We did want specifics. We wanted controls. We wanted things in a Faraday bag. We wanted specific answers, not just random shit.
Right.
You know, we were looking for all this. And when you put so much control over it, the less happens.
Right.
And that was it. Like we put controls over everything that we were doing and nothing was happening. At least for me, from my end, absolutely nothing happened.
A detective does not let a criminal lead the investigation.
right. So, all right. So we did the basement method, and then we did something that was really weird. And I love the pictures that you sent me, Joe, because I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you watched the footage yet, but one of the first things I said was, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever done." So the idea was brought up, I think, by Dawson, right?
Yeah, strangely too, Dawson and Josh had handcuffs. I'm like,
They're like,
You
they
got
just whipped out
handcuffs?
handcuffs.
They had handcuffs, and the idea was that because the basement was supposed to be such the scary place where you weren't supposed to be alone, because they were afraid of like, and I'm pretty sure it was demonic kind of stuff that they were afraid of. So the idea was somebody had to stay down there by themselves, and not just by themselves, but handcuffed to a post. So you couldn't leave. You couldn't run away if something happened. And both myself and Side-Eye Guy said, okay, we'll do it. I mean, we're the biggest skeptics here. Let's do it. And I did it first. You guys, I got handcuffed to a pole. I'm sitting in a chair, and it's funny. I'll show it. I'll show it because it just cracked me up when you sent me the pictures, and I'm like, Jesus, this is what my life is right now. And I actually said the running joke, like, I am a grown man handcuffed to a pole in a basement.
Oh, I'm gonna make sure I make that joke.
I was cracking up because everybody else went outside, but it was too cold for me. And I said, I'm not going to make any noise in the dining room or the seance room. And I could hear you laughing. It was like just so funny. I could hear you laughing.
Yeah.
You know how to bring up somebody else's screen? Because I can screen share that picture. It'll look a lot better.
Yeah, if you go down, look at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that you know how how to pull it up on.
Just go ahead and share it, and I'll. There we go.
There we go. That's grown man, people.
Grown man.
Grown man.
Grown man. And that's exactly what I did. I was like, put my head against the pole. I can't believe I'm fucking doing this.
And then there's this gem right here.
There you go.
Torturing the skeptic.
There you go.
I was actually wanting to pull you out of that a lot sooner. But the Side-Eye Guy's like, I want to torture him some more. Yeah. I didn't argue.
That was interesting, to say the least. But yeah, nothing came from it. I mean, I was down there, and I literally say, like, hey, if there's demons and stuff down here I am. I can't see behind me because I'm too fat to turn around. Come get me. This is the time. Come possess me. Come get me. Whatever, do what you want to do. And nothing. I just ended up talking to myself for 6 minutes or so, and waited until everyone came down and let me go. And then they handcuffed the Side-Eye Guy. And that was I as loud as him?
Oh, he was loud.
Okay.
The Side-Eye, if you haven't noticed, Kenny, the Side-Eye Guy's loud and he doesn't shut up.
Oh, I noticed that.
Yeah.
He just kept talking, and we were sitting in the seance room, which is not above where he was, but I could still hear him almost clearly. So yeah, I mean, that actually brings up a concern too. We could actually hear him downstairs. But yeah, I mean, that was funny. I can't wait to see the video of him because he's funny anyway.
Yeah. Oh God, you should have seen him at the Conjuring house.
All right. So after that, we went up to the attic. And all of us were up there. We did another Estes method with side-eye guy. We stuck him in a little cubby hole. And it was entertaining and freaky to see him in this little cubby hole with the blindfold over his mask and the headphones. And so we did the same thing there. He's spitting out words. I think Dawson was asking questions. And at this point, this is when I got a little annoyed with the whole process. I wasn't annoyed with Dawson. I was annoyed with the process. And because he was asking questions, the words that side-eye guy was saying, I don't think had anything to do with the questions that were being asked.
No.
Yet Dawson was following that train of thought. Like he was associating, saying, okay, and I don't remember what was said, but whatever was said, he would go along with that and kind of like start asking questions that had to do with the word. And at one point I was like, well, I didn't know how to express it without actually like going on a rant. But I think I said something like, it really doesn't matter what you say. You're asking questions. It doesn't matter. You can ask all the questions you want. It doesn't matter. He's going to spit out words anyway. So even if you stop, these are two different tracks that are going that you're playing at the same time, expecting to make some kind of meaning out of them. So if you stop asking questions, let's see if he's still going to say words, because I think he is. And I think you, Joe, you said, all right, nobody asked any questions. And side-eye guy still spit out words. So to me, that just shows like this is a waste of time. It is a waste of time because you're trying to make something. You're trying to put that square peg in a round hole, and it's not going to fit. Unfortunately, I think it has to do with the people that are doing it and saying, oh, well, you know, we're going to play this association game. Let's make it fit. Just get a bigger hammer.
There's a lot of there's a lot of psychological stuff that goes along with being an investigator. Like this psychology is a huge factor in the paranormal and in all kinds of different fronts. And just by doing that, you can kind of see that, you know, people believing because they believe, not saying that Dawson like believed what was coming through or anything like that but when you watch a lot of people do this because they believe that they're getting these responses or they're talking to something. And again, instead of leading, you follow. Yeah. Like,
right.
You know, I know one time you said, you know, somebody's doing that. Like, I think it was an app or something like that. It says chair, but the same thing goes with something like the spirit box chair. Oh my God, there's a chair in this room. Was that your chair?
Right.
You never asked about a freaking chair in the first place. You didn't ask, where do you like to sit? Nothing. Yet this word that come up on an app or what you thought or what somebody thought they heard doing that method, they throw it out there. Yeah. And then they try to connect these dots. Runs rampant in the field.
Exactly.
The other thing too is that we kind of talked about this a little bit at the Bel Air house. There were things that I had seen that were, I'm going to be a little vague about this, that were sent to Matt and I for reasons. And we watched this stuff. I'm like, holy fuck, this field's in trouble. and I'm like, oh my, this is like, I thought it was bad before, but I didn't realize just how bad. And these are people who, you know, they say they're legit investigators, and I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but I mean, there was a lot of common sense things going on where you just like, I mean, to me, it's obvious that's not paranormal.
Right.
This is gravity at work. This is pareidolia, or this is something else.
Right. Right.
And that's scary.
Yeah, because we see it a lot. And this association game that we see all the time, and exactly what you said. You ask for, hey, what's your name? And they say chair. And it's like, that's not the answer to my question. And for me, that would be like, that's a miss. You know, that doesn't, no, that's a miss. That's a negative point. Let's move on. Next question, ask it. But we constantly see this change of conversation where the radio, the box, or the person with the blindfold and the headphones is dictating the conversation.
Right.
They lead the conversation, and there's no reason for that to happen. There really, it doesn't follow a logical thought process to have this happen. But we see that all the time.
Right. And the thing that I also observe watching other people investigate is usually within the first 5 to 10 minutes, they're not investigating. They're going along with their REM pods or their apps or just whatever it is that they're using, rather than just doing something proper. Turn that shit. If you take all that stuff away, I think a lot of people would not be investigating, to be honest. There'd be a lot less crazy bullshit on YouTube and even TikTok. We take that away, they got nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, when you start taking away the anomaly producing gadgets, your hobby falls apart.
Right.
I mean, it really, you can still go to places that you think are haunted and explore, but all of these devices that we've seen, like they are based on speculation.
Right.
There's not even theory. I wouldn't. If we're going to deal with science, it is not theory whatsoever. It is a hypothesis that has not been proven one way or another.
Right.
It is simply something that is, and there's probably like 3 or 4 actual consistent devices that are being put out there. It's just they're repackaged and renamed, and then the price goes up depending on how much 3D printing you do, and how fancy you make it.
Well,
so go ahead.
Your last live stream, you talked about the what was it called? The EMF thing. What is that thing called? It produces EMF.
Oh, the Junior Thurman. Yeah.
No, not that one. The EMF
REM pod
box thing, the magnet with the spinny motor thing.
Oh yeah,
what is it called?
Yeah, I know what you
EMF
said.
pump. That's what. Why couldn't I think of that?
It's a pump, and it does EMF. What could it be?
What could that possibly be? Yeah,
EMF pump. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Why are we taking devices and using them on investigations to try to manifest things? What I don't understand that. We want to go in to these locations without trying to put more EMF in the air. We want the most natural conditions we can possibly have to understand why something is happening. Why are people having these experiences, or believe they're having these experiences? Why? What is the point in using something like that? We want to have a natural environment without all the crazy EMF stuff that creates EMF. I mean, if you want to create EMF, chances are, you can go to the damn store and buy a freaking fan a lot cheaper than one of those, and it's going to give off way more freaking EMF than these stupid little devices.
That's what the video I did on that particular device that you're talking about. I did compare it to a battery operated fan that was made for your desk. Clip on to the edge of your desk, and that put out a higher strength field than that device did.
Right.
And the fan cost me $10. And that other thing, that didn't cost me anything because it was donated to me. But I think the original price was somewhere around like $90 to $100, something like that. And it's for two toy motors. Like it's literally scrap parts and hot glue. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote the article or did the video, because I was like, people are getting ripped off. They're totally getting ripped off by this.
We're in the wrong business.
and but you're right though. Like you touched on something that's really important, and that if ghost hunters are going to places and they are purposely saturating the environment with electromagnetic fields, like higher fields than are normally there, you are manipulating the environment before you even begin testing. The alleged claims that happened there, that the reason you're investigating that location is because someone claimed to have had an experience. You need to find out what environmental conditions were in place at that time. Did they have like a box fan nearby? If not, then what are you doing? What are you doing with this little overpriced toy pumping in this larger field? You know, like,
and it's not even doing that much to begin with anyways.
Right, because you have to be close. I mean, another thing people have to understand is that the EM field drops off significantly in strength with distance. So you could be 4 inches from the fan and you could peg like your 200 milligauss meter, but then you go a foot and a half away and you get 0. That's how fast it can drop off. That's how significant it drops off. And people have to understand this is what happens. You know, like I hear people claim like, oh, I had a clock radio at my bed. And that was causing me to have hallucinations. Did you actually measure it? Did you actually see if the field even reached the pillow where your head is? I mean, most people don't. They just go in and find the source and say, oh, it's high EMF. You have to change, you have to sleep on the other end. So these are little things that we have to look at. Not little things, they're big things. We have to realize and understand when we're going in and investigating, especially people's homes. When you're going into a private residence, you are assuming a responsibility that you are not qualified to assume, to be honest. Because you're going in there thinking that you think you or believe that it may be haunted. And if you tell the homeowner that it is haunted because your REM pod fucking beeped, you're being misleading, and you may be being honest because it's based on your beliefs, but you're not giving an honest investigation.
Right. Now, I did a video on a team who went to, I'm going to be vague here. It's your channel. Went to a house where supposedly
for me.
Yeah.
I don't care.
They went to a house where supposedly demonic stuff is happening, and I'm watching this guy hold an EMF meter, and he has it up kind of in the air, but he's got it pointed at the fucking ceiling fan. The ceiling fan's not on, but it still gives off EMF. And then I watch him, and he's kind of bringing it down. He starts turning towards a TV. He's like, oh, we've got a spike over here, a reading over here too. Well, I don't, basically don't know what's causing it. It's like, what? You check the fan? You're right next to the TV. I know it's not turned on, but you're going to get a reading. Like, none of it made, like, we've been helping people for over 20 years with their haunted homes. And I'm like, it looks like you guys just started investigating when you walked into the freaking door of their house. I was like, oh my God, there's no common sense. Look, I ain't the smartest freaking investigator in the world, but even I know better. Like, it's mind blowing.
Right. We do have a question. I'm going to pop it up in here because there's a lot of cues on it. I must have missed it. If a spirit can alter a device, could you just not open a text file and touch at a touch keyboard and get a response?
Hey, there are apps that do that. Like, and there's like no trickery to it. It's just if something touches the screen, it'll change. The screen will change color.
I mean, I think you should be able to seriously just go on your phone, open your message to Joe Vitale, and
Right.
say, "Here you go. Type. Here's a message. Type." Like I don't understand why it should be this simple. Honestly, if there's something to it.
That is something that I'll be trying as well. I keep forgetting about it because I do use my phone too, though, to also film as well. So I keep forgetting to do things like that.
All right, so that's it for questions. That's good.
I mean, I'll almost try anything. Like honestly, like if it's possible for that kind of thing to happen, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I'll try it. I definitely, because I mean, I just went with it now. I mean, that was a great question. That was awesome, and I really didn't think of that. And I don't think of that when I'm on location at a place. But now I'm going to put it on my list of things to do, like put out my laptop, with a touchscreen, and just say, "Here you go. You can type what a typewriter is. Maybe, hopefully, the spirit will know what a typewriter was, and say this is the same thing. Type out a message. Say hi. See what happens." So. All right, cool. Last thing, just to sum it up, I mean, we actually talked the rest of the night at the Belair house. Joe, I think you crashed. You crashed out, and me and Side Eye Guy and Josh and Dawson, we sat around the seance table and we talked to about 4. And then finally it was like, that's it. We went to bed. And then we got up. Me and Side Eye Guy did our little skit.
Yeah.
That was a fun video. I'm glad it turned out the way it did. It was funny. And if you haven't seen that little skit, go to the Side Eye Guy channel on YouTube and check it out. It's funny. So we did that. We said our goodbyes, and we went our separate ways. What do you think? Like, what's your final thoughts? And I mean, just be honest.
I absolutely, even though I was sick, I loved absolutely every moment of it. As far as I know, no ghost showed up, but it was the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
It was a group of people coming together, and really, we all do have something in common. Even though we may approach things differently, we may believe differently, we still do have something in common. And that is, what is it? What is the truth? What is going on? I'm hoping that, and I'm sure he has, I'm hoping that the Side Eye Guy, he learned something and got something out of it. I'm hoping that you were able to get something out of that with some of the things that we did. A better understanding of, like, doing the Estes method, even though I know it's torture.
I did. I'll jump in and just say I did. It was an experience. I haven't done it before, and I learned firsthand what it is, how it feels, and that I absolutely do not like it and don't want to do it ever again in my life.
Yeah, that's why Dawn when we do that, it's mainly Dawn. She's like, "You want to do?" I'm like, no.
Hey, here's Side Eye Guy.
Oh God.
About time you fucking showed up. That was the kind of stuff he said all night long. That was good.
I would absolutely love to do it again, and hopefully, I'm trying to set it up so we can get Beardo out here.
That would be good. Yeah,
because I would love for Beardo and maybe even Purple, getting them out here and going to 3 different locations. Hopefully, 3 different locations. Of course, got to have you. And,
hell yeah, I would love to come out and be.
And I would also like Jason Haas to join us as well.
Fuck that guy. No, I'm kidding. That would be great. That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, because I one of the locations that I want to take everyone to has a big backyard. So watching Beardo and Jason Haas beat the hell out of each other will be really fun. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm teasing. I think Jason would kick his ass, but yeah, I think
tiny. Jason's tiny. Like he's tall, but he's skinny. He's skinny now.
I don't know. I don't know.
I have to see what Beardo looks like in real life. You know, like the camera, you can't tell. Like I'm much bigger than what I look like on here.
No, I'm not calling you fat. I mean, you are bigger than I expected. The side-eye guy.
You're saying I'm fat.
That side-eye guy is fucking tall and fucking gumpy as fuck. But anyways. But no, I really would like for that to happen, for kind of like bring everyone together.
Right.
That would be really cool. I mean, you know, there's been some bullshit going on, and I think I would like to see people come together. And just show people, hey, look,
we work together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I use Jason sometimes. I don't mean to, but I do, because it's really the perfect scenario. Like he's the celebrity, been on TV, ghost hunter, and all this stuff, and I'm the skeptic that write for a skeptic outlet, magazine, and website, and I do videos and all that. But we get along really good. I mean, I talk to him probably like once a week. We talk on the phone, and just bullshit.
I've never met Jason. I messaged him a time or two here and there, just on little things, but I never like talked to him or I've ever met him. But I do have a lot of respect for Jason. I started investigating in the 90s, and I had to kind of pull away from that, being a father, really having to work and things like that, and to concentrate, on my little family. And then seeing that show on TV really made me miss it. I'm like, I really would love to get back to it. But at that time, it just wasn't right. Family first. Family first.
Yeah, I hear you. Family is always first. You always take care of that first. Everything else is second.
Yeah, and I got a lot of respect for you too, Kenny. I really do. And people, people like you. I don't mean that derogatory. People like you. No.
What do you mean, you people?
you guys, and also the debunkers out there. You guys are important. You guys are very, very important. It keeps us in check. You guys point things out. Kenny, you take things apart, see how they work. It's great.
Yeah.
I know you get a bunch of shit for it, but at the end of the day, the truth is the truth.
Right. And that's all I'm here for. I'm just here to find the truth. That's it. I don't care one way or the other. I mean, I'm not out of a job if I find a place is actually haunted, because there's plenty of other places that aren't, and people say they are. There's plenty of other places that people say there are Bigfoot or other cryptids or aliens or UFOs or religious miracles. If I find one, doesn't mean I'm out of a job. So I'm not swayed either way. I want to find the truth. That's it. That's my goal.
Right.
So, Dawn, what are your thoughts on the place? You were there all night. What do you think?
and I stayed awake till 3 a.m. Then gave up. Well, number one, Joe can say I was fangirling before. I was like, I get to investigate with the Kenny Biddle. So I was excited.
She was. I almost got emotional when I first seen you, Kenny.
I know. Well, I mean, I did feel a little bit of excitement when we hugged. So
that's what that was in your pants. All right.
Oh gosh. Okay. Moving on. I love the sign you have in your office, never stop learning, because I taught for 10 years, and that's something I was always telling my students, like, don't stop learning. Every day I learn something new. in this field, like when people say, well, if you're not experiencing anything, why do you still do it? I'm like, well, I do sometimes experience things, but it's the history. It's going to these locations and just soaking up, stuff that may or may not have happened, and finding the truth. It's like we're all saying. So it's still fun to go with my best friend to investigate. So
that's good. And I agree. I mean, I'm always asked, like, well, you don't believe, why do you go? Why do you bother? And then sometimes it's followed up with, your opinion doesn't matter because you don't believe. But I mean, I keep going. Yeah, I have not found anything yet, but that doesn't mean that the next time I go, I won't. Maybe I will find something. And that's what keeps me going. Like, I'm curious about, maybe the next time it'll pan out. Maybe I haven't gotten to that point where I'm jaded yet. I keep hoping. And there's other things, like I keep going because I want to meet people. I want to meet people that I've talked to and interacted with for, a couple of weeks or months or even years that I haven't met in person before. I want to experience how we go out. Like I was so impressed, Joe, with some of the things that you were coming up with and insisting on. And I like that. I like seeing that. It was refreshing to see there's a group out there. There's a team out there that's following good practices and demanding stricter protocols and not just going with the flow. So I like seeing that and just getting in people's heads, having a conversation with Dawson. I truly enjoyed that. We have different ideas about everything so far. And yeah, some of it I could probably blame on, he is young. He's a younger kid. And I have more experience than he's been alive. So, but that doesn't mean that I'm always right. So we can have this conversation and go back and forth and see, bounce ideas off each other. So I like that. For me, like this place, I wouldn't say was haunted. I didn't experience anything. I was comfortable inside. I could have fallen asleep at any point, like on the couch or in the chair. I wasn't scared. I was in a basement. In a different state by myself, handcuffed to a fucking pole. And I was still fine. I was still like, yeah, I'm going to talk to myself, but I could put my head against this pole and doze off. There was no fear or no weird feelings or anything like that. It was just a house to me. And but it was a good experience. Again, I got to meet you guys. I get to meet Side Eye Guy, and Josh and Dawson and even the owner. I mean, it was fun meeting everyone. So
Kristen was great.
Kristen was really nice to me, and it was nice to all of us. She bought us pizza. The taco pizza was good. Oh my God.
I'm pissed because I got sick and I couldn't eat. I wanted to eat that pizza so bad.
Yeah, it was good.
That was good. All right, guys, we are at the end of the show. We're actually over our 2 hours, which is great. I love it. Where can people find more about you if they want to look up what you do, Joe and Dawn?
Just YouTube. I don't really throw a lot out there on Facebook. I can't.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so sick of Facebook, but no, Entity 7 Paranormal. You guys can go there. It's not the most exciting channel. It isn't action packed. We just do what we do. Whatever happens, happens. We just like to show this is what it's really like.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, guys, hang out for a minute or two. I'm just going to say that I have announcements, but I'm not going to really go through them. There's not much to go through right now. There's a lot of projects in the works. And I'll keep you up to date on what I'm doing. But other than that, everyone have a great weekend. Have a great night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Have a great weekend. And remember, never stop learning. And I will see you next week. Bye, everyone.